Our Basic Education Minister Angie and Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi are overseeing the beginning of the matric exams with a visit to learners at Sekano-twana, that's in Soweto. Pupils will sit for the English First Additional Language, English Home Language and English Second Additional Language papers today. Linda Misi is standing by now with the Basic Education Department's Minister Angie Motshekga. Linda, great to have you on once again. I imagine it's a big moment for the Minister, not least of which because this is a big moment for matriculants, but it's also been an unbelievable year, at least insofar as preparations for this day are concerned.
Indeed, Ayanda, it has been an unprecedented year that has put enormous amounts of pressure on the department to make sure that they get to this point. But I guess the devil is in the detail. And to talk to us about that detail, I've got with me the Minister of Basic Education from Angie Motshekga. Minister, thank you so much for your time. One of the biggest questions was around learners that tested positive or that test positive around this time, because we know we still have COVID-19 with us, but you've made changes about that. Tell us about what really pushed for those changes.
You know, initially, we really were stuck to the health protocols, because the health protocol says, as the sector, as soon as we identify a person who tests positive, then health takes over. So we're following the health protocols. But with lots of, I think, requests from provinces, we had to approach health to say there is this dilemma. Provinces are requesting that we should find ways of accommodating learners. So it's provinces that came to us, because that was the standard agreement. So by early this week, Health Ministry, the Minister and the Health DG agrees to assist us to say, yes, indeed, according to the protocols, as soon as we identify a person who's positive, they will take over. So they will take the invigilation, they will take over the whole management of the exam of those learners. That enabled us then to be able to say, yes, we'll use our isolation rooms as exam rooms, and health officials will come and supervise or become our invigilators for those learners.
You speak about isolation rooms, and there's this thing in your statement that you talk about around learners who screen tests show that they are above 38 degrees. So how then are you going to make sure that there are those isolation rooms, for example, in schools that have dilapidated infrastructure? We know that there are a lot of schools that are struggling with that.
Now, that's a standard thing. I mean, you know, isolation rooms are standard protocols that we have in schools. Like you see the markings in every school, there is a space that is isolation, because the standard procedures were that as we screen learners daily, if they present a high temperature, we were obliged to have isolation rooms. So they're there as part of our standard protocols.
But what about those schools that have infrastructure issues, that have dilapidated infrastructure?
They would have had a space. They will not be able to operate as a school if they didn't have a space where they could isolate learners who test positive. So it's a standard protocol. So there's no school that will not have an isolation place, be it a classroom, a library, but all of them, we were compelled to have a space that we call an isolation space as part of the conditions of running schools under COVID-19.
And lastly, Minister, this is your biggest class. Over 1 million learners are sitting. It's a combined exam. How confident are you that you'll do well, given the fact that you always face pressure around the matric pass rate? Are you confident that you will beat last year?
No, for me, this year, that's not the issue. I'm just grateful that we came this far, that we're able to accommodate your June learners who are not taking all the papers. So those are your part-time learners, those who are improving. So I'm glad that we didn't keep them a year longer. They are able to write with us. Our usual classes, grades that we would have had, that 600 and something thousand, for me, the biggest prize is to be here. So I already have my prize. If we get 80, it's a bonus. But for me, the prize is to come this far, that we are able to write exams.
And just before I let you go, Minister, I know I said that was the last question. I want to ask about the issue around, the curriculum and the standards that have been set. You said you would test learners based on what they learned. Are you confident that most of the learners were able to at least cover most of the work that was supposed to be covered for this year? I know that's one of the biggest concerns by parents.
No, when we are trimming the curriculum, we're also looking at the time. So we trimmed it to suit the time. And as you might be aware, Cabinet gave us almost 300,000 learners who are going, young people who are going to be assistant teachers, remedial teachers. So we do hope that in the first part of the year, we will double up to make sure that the parts of the curriculum which we left behind are covered. We're working again with the Matric team to say, especially the grade 11s, what is it that we do to get them to claw back also what they have lost. So we're really looking at different ways, but we didn't cut without considering whether we'll be able to finish. So what we gave is what we know is achievable, and that's what we're going to test learners on the basis of.
All right, there you have it. What we gave is what we know is achievable. That is the statement by the Basic Education Minister, Angie Motshekga, ahead of that first examination. She's here in Soweto to assess the state of readiness, saying that she's proud that, in fact, they've gotten this far, and that everything has been planned for accordingly. She says if she gets an 80% pass rate, then that for her will be a bonus. So I guess then we'll have to wait for when they conclude those exams. That's around the 15th of December this year.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for that update. Linda Misi is our reporter live to us there from Soweto, catching up with education officials as they try to take stock of this new phase, if you like, of the academic year.